There was a time when every community had a thriving local church, and maybe even multiple churches, even in a very small area. These churches had a fully staffed choir. Many of them even had a full-time pastor. And I'm going to explain to you today why it has been absolutely detrimental to the faith that these small churches are no longer thriving. You see, nowadays, small churches are facing a lot of challenges. Now, there's two big things working against smaller churches. Number one, church attendance is down, just not as many people go. But the other big challenge that smaller churches face is they've got to compete with the big guys. And these smaller churches have some pretty stiff competition. You see, the big guys have all the nice facilities. They have fancy entranceways. They also have the latest and greatest playground equipment and stuff that's not been donated or refurbished or repainted. And their kids probably don't play on gravel. These larger churches have staff for mowing the yard and taking out the trash or cooking food, cleaning the church. The average churchgoer just doesn't feel the need to really volunteer. Of course, the appeal of bigger churches doesn't stop on the outside. Whenever you go inside, you start to notice a lot of differences as well between them and the smaller churches. First of all, walking into a smaller church, you might not find some of the luxuries you would typically see in, the bigger churches. First of all, whenever you walk in, you're probably not going to find a coffee bar.
Got some of the teas right there. And then looks like they also have some coffee here too for sale in this section. Oh, a lot of awesome merchandise. They definitely do use top quality stuff.
All that's here is this old Bible. Oh, and if you think that's bad, wait until you see the sanctuary. Stepping into these smaller churches, you're going to feel like you should have rode here on a horse and buggy. For starters, whenever they have their worship service, they don't even turn the lights down. Barbaric. Oh, but it gets worse. The preacher uses some old, archaic wooden pulpit. It's not even glass, let alone a stool. Now, in recent years, smaller churches have discovered television. However, they really just put Bible verses on these things. They don't even know how to utilize them to put videos or a bunch of promotional stuff. And many of them don't even use it for lyrics. Instead, they use these old hymnals to read the lyrics. I mean, who even uses a book anymore? Okay, all sarcasm aside. Right now, this is the time for the big churches. They are really doing well. Everybody's flocking to them. Those that still go to church are leaving their small local community churches, and they're attending the big non-denominational churches that have cool names and cool logos and have multiple pastors and all these resources. I want to tell you something that is extremely important. These big churches are not going to save the faith, they're not going to save Christianity, and they're not going to save America. If you want to save the faith, if you want to defend it, if you want to ensure in future generations that there are going to be Bible believers, you got to stand and fight with these local churches. Now, the question that you may be asking is why? Why is it that small churches are the answer? Well, there's a number of reasons, but number one, the reason that those churches are big is because they appeal to a lot of people. And how do they appeal to a lot of people? Well, they avoid anything that would be possibly controversial, such as doctrine. Doctrine is the most important part of the church. It is what you believe about the Bible. It is what you profess to be true. If you do not have doctrine, you do not have any foundation that the church is going to stand on. Unfortunately, the word doctrine has kind of become a taboo word around churches. People don't want to be divided. And that is very unfortunate because the truth is the doctrine of a church is its strength. If you were to take a poll of the vast majority of churches today, they would not have a united view of matters of eschatology, soteriology, even kingdom theology. And As a matter of fact, there's probably many who will watch this video who don't even know what that means or why it even matters. And it's not your fault that you don't know this stuff. You just haven't been taught it. You may have been told before that you don't need to discuss things about the end times, whether there's a rapture, not a rapture, whether the kingdom is literal, future, physical, or figurative. Those things are just too divisive. Unfortunately, that's the mentality that a lot of Christianity has taken, and it has been to, well, its downfall. What you believe about the Bible, what you teach about the Bible, what you believe about the end times, what you believe about Revelation and the kingdom, all of that is extremely important and will greatly affect how you view the Bible, how you view God, and how you view the world today. And the truth is, many churches, not just big churches, the small churches alike, have abandoned the importance of teaching doctrine. And that's because they want to have as many people possible, because the more people that come means that there's more giving. And more giving means bigger budgets, and bigger budgets mean more missions, operations, staff, bigger salaries. So they really are beholden to getting as many people in the seats as possible. And while that may seem well-intentioned because they're trying to share the gospel and build the church and grow the church isn't really built on anything at all. That's not to say you have to be an expert theologian from the very beginning. None of us are. But these churches, once again, because they're not trying to upset people, they basically just stick to the baseline training wheel Christianity. They don't ever build and get to a deeper level, a deeper understanding of the knowledge of the Bible. Another very serious problem that a lot of churches have, and this is true for the bigger and smaller churches alike, they have completely forgotten the purpose of a sermon or Bible study. See, whenever a pastor approaches the sermon, anymore it's treated like a motivational speech. Everything's about how you can be brave, how you can overcome your challenges, how to be a better friend.
But true peace is found in the presence of God. It's a different kind of peace. This is not a peace that the world gives.
And furthermore, there's some churches, some pastors who think they are teaching the Bible, but what they mean by teaching the Bible is they read themselves into every single verse.
Because there's no necessary correlation in God's original intention between every person who has Jewishness in their blood to be in this thing called Israel.
They make the sermon all about them. The reality is, if we pay attention to context, not all the Bible's about us. Oh, another thing that smaller churches have, or should I say don't have, is a big band that has the fancy keyboard and the guitar and the bass guitar and the backup vocal singers and the special sound effects. They just have the piano and the piano player. Ours is named Winona. Now, the reality is we are facing a serious problem. The churches that are doing very well are only doing well in the sense of they have a lot of people. But when you actually look at their Bible knowledge, what they understand about very important doctrines such as the end times or salvation, they really do not have any strong stance. Even the pastors themselves may not have a view on very serious doctrinal matters. We have to fix that. Now, small churches, you are going to be the tip of the spear. You will be on the front lines fighting the battle for the faith. But that doesn't mean that you're in fighting shape right now. So stay tuned, because in future videos, we're going to explain how to hone you into a warrior. And as with the most elite warriors, you need to be armed with the best weapon available. We're going to start with this right here.